So now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Our speaker tonight is John Funn. John Funn is one of the nation's top political pundits and editorial writers. He has been in the thick of Washington politics as a writer and journalist. John Funn's editorials and articles have been found regularly in the Wall Street Journal, where he is on the editorial board. He's a writer and a former deputy editor. He is a contributing analyst to Fox News and CNBC, both the 24-hour news cable channels. His articles have also appeared in Esquire, New Republic, National Review, and American Spectator. Without further ado, I give you John Funn. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. Just out of curiosity, so I know who I'm talking to, how many of you are students at this campus? How many of you might have heard about this talk on KLOX? So the posters did work. Mark, what can I say? We really wanted to be here. I've spent a fair amount of time in Missouri for three reasons. One, I think it's a fascinating state. You're often on the cutting edge. Two, sometimes you're on the cutting edge of things that aren't so nice. You've taken up a whole chapter in my book, Stealing Elections, How Voter Fraud Threatens Our Democracy. There's a whole chapter in here, and politically active after death is what I call the chapter on St. Louis. You might remember that 2000 lawsuit where they sued to keep the polls open here, and the statement was made that many people have been disenfranchised because of long lines and all of that. So they went into court and they got an injunction. It turned out the person who had filed the injunction, who was the voter who claimed they hadn't been voting or not allowed to vote, turned out that person had been dead for 2 years. You know, the old saying is no taxation without representation. In this case, it's voting without respiration. But there's another reason that I'm pleased to be here, and that is to understand this election. You have to get out of Washington, you have to get out of New York, and you have to get out to the heartland, because that's where the election is going to be decided. And you probably already know this, of course, with one exception. In several generations of presidential elections, Missouri is the bellwether. How Missouri goes, so goes the nation, and so goes the occupant of the White House. So I'm here not just to yak at you, but to actually listen. Consider yourself my giant focus group tonight. So I want to hear questions from you. I want to hear your comments, because I'm here to learn as much as I am to talk at you. First, what's the playing field for this election? Well, for Republicans, it's one of the most challenging election environments possible. Let's go through the challenges. 81% of the American people in the recent CBS News poll said the country's on the wrong track. That is an all-time high in modern polling history, going back 30 years. 81% wrong track. Gasoline is heading towards $4 a gallon. People are upset. Every time you go to the grocery store, things cost more. Iraq, less of a problem, but still a problem. Still, as a political issue, net negative. And of course, you have the whole Republican Congress that left a bad taste in people's mouths, the earmarks, the overspending. I think the Republican Party in Congress has gotten some of the message from that 2x4 that the 2006 elections represented being smacked across their head, but I don't think the message has sunk in completely, nor do the voters fully appreciate the extent to which it might have sunk in. The Republican Party name brand is clearly damaged, and if you take a generic Democrat versus a generic Republican for president, Democrats have about a 10-point lead. So with all of that, let's call off the campaign, let's call off the election. Isn't it over? No, not really. And I'm going to give you two reasons for that. One, we vote for president is a very personal vote. It's not usually a party vote, although many people do just vote a straight ticket. It's a personal vote. It wraps up into it our opinion of national security issues, personality of the candidate, the character, level of confidence that they exude, experience, basic positions on core issues that transcend party. They have a lot to do with our belief system. So it's a very personal vote. That's why you will often get Democrats voting for Republicans, Republicans voting for a Democrat. It explains in part why it's not hard to find Republicans who are really excited about Barack Obama. It's also not too hard, especially if you go to Pennsylvania, what they now call the bitter counties of Pennsylvania. It's not hard to find some Democrats who may be looking at John McCain and giving him a second chance. There's that. And there's also this. John McCain, for all of what I've just said, is still tied or ahead in almost all the polls for president right now. Most of you, if not all of you, were born after 1944, which is 64 years ago. 64 years is 3 generations. It's a long time in our history. It's almost 30% of our history since the founding fathers. In those 64 years, we've had over 16 presidential elections. 16. In only one of them since 1944, has a Democrat gotten more than 50.0% of the vote for president. It's hard to believe, but I'll go through it quickly. 48 Truman. Truman won an upset victory. He didn't get 50. There were 2 third-party candidates. 52, 56, Eisenhower beat Stevenson. 1960, Lyndon Johnson, with the help of Mayor Daley and a few of his friends, wins the Electoral College vote, but he gets less than 50% of the popular vote. 64 is the exception. Lyndon Johnson trashes and crushes Barry Goldwater. 68, Hugh Humphrey only gets 43% of the vote, loses to Nixon and Wallace. 72, McGovern is crushed. 76, Carter gets 50.0%, but he doesn't get a majority. 80, Carter loses to Reagan. 84, Mondale loses to Reagan. Dukakis loses to Bush in 88. Clinton, because of Ross Perot, wins, but he only gets 43% of the vote in 92, runs for re-election against one of the more hapless Republican candidates of all time, Blob Dole, and he only gets 49% of the vote. Gore doesn't win, he gets 48% of the vote. Kerry doesn't win, he gets 48% of the vote, and here we are. Now, it doesn't mean that history is an automatic predictor of the future. I'm simply saying there's something about the candidates the Democratic Party puts up that make them not an easy sell. That's all I'm saying. Now, why is this?